Musical theater, inherently, it just has to be a little bit embarrassing. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Unemployed Movie Critic YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me yet again. I'm very excited because the most recent video I posted about Nosferatu got like the most views ever in kind of a short amount of time. So that was really exciting, and then I got 13 new followers. So I'm pretty hyped today. But today we're going to be talking about Wicked. So I did a YouTube video about Oscar bait movies, and I talked a lot about Wicked because it was just about to come out. I did go see Wicked, and I need to reverse my hater stance because I really enjoyed Wicked the movie, and I made sure to do some good research about the musical, the play, and about the book that the musical is based on. And of course I've seen The Wizard of Oz before. So I'm ready to do my deep-ish dive into Wicked. Here are just kind of like my petty gripes about the film that I did not like. So first of all, I thought Jonathan Bailey's song was really bad and very stupid. I just didn't like it at all. There was like no redeeming quality about it. The lyrics were cringy off to me. The music was lame, boring to me. The choreography was impressive in the film. Obviously, it looked very beautiful, but I did not like his song, not one bit. Just have to complain about it. I know it's petty, but it's true. Also petty, hated Nessa Rose's outfits. I love the costuming in this movie, and the costuming is beautiful, which I'm going to kind of, explain about later. I watched a YouTube video all about the costuming for the main characters, Glinda and Elphaba, but especially where Nessa Rose goes to the dance, where she goes to the Oz Dust, and she's wearing like a pirate outfit. She's literally just wearing like an ugly frock. I mean, maybe it's because they're trying to say that she's like, a little bit sheltered, but it didn't feel whimsical at all to me. It didn't match anybody else's like outfit feeling, and it looked like Party City pirate costume. Hate that it's called Shiz University. That's just a cringy word to say. I feel like shiz comes from like that's the shiz instead of saying like that's the shit from like the 90s, early 2000s. And I think it's called shiz in the book, if I'm not mistaken. But why would they call it that? What an embarrassing name for a university. I have to be so honest with you. Like, maybe it was funny at the time 20 years ago, but looking back, I'm like, wow, that's an embarrassing thing to make the actors say and talk about. I hate it. It just like gives me a gross feeling. I think Defying Gravity is overrated a lot. I don't like most of the song. I think the chorus is okay. And of course the end is very powerful. And she does her little riff. Oh, she does a little riff. And, that's very exciting. And I'm sure if you're a lover of musical theater and, you are a singer yourself and you have, that kind of appreciation for it, maybe you like it more. I just thought the song sounded very outdated. It very like keyboardy, like keyboard preset sounding sounds. Didn't think it was good. But it does get stuck in your head. And that song and Jonathan Bailey's song, Furio's song, are really the only songs that I'll complain about. The rest of the music was very good, but I just think people like way overhyped Defying Gravity because it comes at a very integral part of the story. But when we look at it critically, it's not a good song. I'm just being a hater. I'm just being a jerk about it, but I don't like it. Also, just being a hater, I just hate CGI. Personally, I really hate CGI. And I almost wish they just had the animal characters wearing super cool prosthetics. So even when I watch something like House of the Dragon, which I love, the dragons just look so fake to me, and they look so out of place. It looks very video gamey, and I'm sure like when they're isolated, like when I'm sure they're creating the dragon, I'm sure it looks really cool, and I know they put a lot of detail in it, and it just seems very out of place when you have a real world setting or a very realistic looking backdrop, because I know, the backdrops in film and TV that are like fantasy, they have to like add layers of other pictures on top of it, but that part just looks so much more real to me than the actual animal. I don't think CGI animals will ever look good. I just think CGI animals in any shape and form look like poo-poo garbage video game Sims characters. So the CGI lion looked awful in my opinion, just like the CGI Mufasa in the Lion King live action adaptations look insane to me, but at least the whole thing is CGI, so it's better. And Professor Dillamond just wasn't sitting right to me. I mean, I was talking to my friend about this and he was like, well, it wouldn't really make any sense if they just had a guy dressed up as a goat when we know that he's supposed to be an animal in the story. Like, of course, in the stage play, they couldn't get a goat out there. But I just think looking at the pictures of the stage play and of the goat makeup that Dr. Dillamond is in, he looks so much cooler in the play than he does in the film. And I would have liked to have seen Peter Dinklage in real life rather than just having him be the voice. Here are the things about the movie that I really enjoyed that I thought were very well done. Casting, like I said, was perfect. Ariana Grande, as a concept, I am a hater. I mean, I'm like a mild hater of Ariana Grande. Love that song the way she does with Mac Miller. I think she's beautiful. She has a gorgeous style icon, makeup guru kind of person. I have to go into like a tangent. This doesn't really have anything to do with the movie, but her fakeness as a person just rubs me the wrong way so much. And I just wish everybody else was kind of a hater of her. Because she had that whole, you know, the internet laughs, her Blackiana Grande era.
And I hope it like my heart because I had died it.
Somebody order a package, because I'm here to deliver, y'all.
Hey girl, hey. Buy my fragrance. It's out now. You know, you're gonna find it.
When Q was on Maddie Morphous's talk show, Give It To Me Straight, and she says, girl, this is my real hair. I don't know what that is exactly how Ariana Grande is to me in her like 2013 to 2018 era. Just obnoxious, trying to be black is, I just think, more not only morally wrong but super annoying. And I think everybody should make fun of you. I'm so serious. I think everybody should make fun of you if you're a white person from a middle class background, Italian American, mind you, who dares to have the nerve to speak in Ebonics like that constantly and rip off black culture like that consistently, and then just all of a sudden 180 shift into being the most, oh, I'm just a little delicate white woman and I'm on the Wicked press tour right now, and what's your favorite movie? I hate that. I just hate the whole shift. Just annoys me. It's just annoying. I don't even think she's a particularly bad person or anything. I just think she's so annoying and I wish everybody made fun of her. I know it's such a mean thing to say, but I it's true to me. But you know, the song with Mac Miller was good. Her casting in the Wicked movie is perfect. I know she wanted to play Elphaba. I've seen interviews of her in the past, but I think her voice is so much higher and really has that high range that I think really fits in well with Glinda, and just like her ability to really turn on like that bubbly rich girl Elle Woods kind of personality really kind of like blew me away. I'm like, damn, you're actually a really good actor. I mean, she was like a theater person in her youth before she got on to be victorious and became the singer Ariana Grande. She was an actor, so I mean, I guess she is trained. So she really just blew me out of the water. I thought she did a great job. And I thought her line delivery, her musical delivery was perfect. And she had the look for Glinda as well. She really had just the perfect look. So I think she looks like just a cute little fairy princess, beautiful woman, a musical theater person. She kind of is born to do musical theater, I think. And I thought her voice was especially impressive in No One Mourns the Wicked, and I have been listening to the soundtrack of Wicked a lot. I'm almost embarrassed to say, because I would give my friends' sisters a lot of crap, especially because they love musicals and they cry a lot at musicals, and they're just they love karaoke and they love singing musical songs during karaoke. But I've been listening to this soundtrack like I'm a theater kid in 2016 when they discovered Hamilton. I'm playing it back to back to back. No One Mourns the Wicked is my favorite song from the musical. It's very just powerful and so impressive. Those vocally like operatic kind of sounding at the end, I think are especially beautiful, and Ariana Grande does an amazing job doing that. I thought it was great. And Cynthia Revo as Elphaba also just makes sense to me. She's a musical theater person. I think it also makes sense to cast Elphaba as a Black woman because part of her ostracization is being Black and caring about political causes, which is kind of just, reflects Black women in real life who care about political causes, I guess I should say. So I think it made sense, and her voice is really just beautiful, really great. And yeah, I just think Cynthia Revo, her look is also just very powerful because she's very, muscular. So I thought that was a good role for Elphaba, because seeing a Black woman who's bald and also muscular is kind of in society like the antithesis to society's idea of what it is to be a beautiful woman. So I really like that she just got to show off her own thing. I think Cynthia Revo is such a beautiful person. Just like people should be casting her in all kinds of runway shows. I feel like she's amazing to look at. Costuming was absolutely beautiful. The sets were beautiful. And that is something that I will go back on what I said, because I talked about in my Oscar bait movie how in plays it's a different art form than in movies, and some things can be almost more impressive in a play than it is in the movie. But I will say turning Wicked into a movie really allows the audience to explore the beauty of this world of Oz that was, this iteration of Oz, I guess. It was just honestly breathtaking. The colors were gorgeous. I just loved looking at the movie. I love movies that I just am like, when I look at it, I'm just like blown away by it, because how impressive is that? And to know that so many man hours and artistic talent, design, editors, went into making that film look beautiful just really makes it impressive. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous set. And by golly, if it wins an Oscar for something, they better give it to digital design, set design, costume designing. But they better not give it to them for original song or for best actor or something like that, because I'm going to lose my marbles. Jeff Goldblum was a great choice to play the wizard, because I feel like in real life he is a Wizard of Oz-esque kind of character. He just makes me giggle. I just think he would be a really interesting and fun person to talk to, but also talking to him would take an hour per question that you ask him, because the dude loves to ramble, and so do I, so I can't even blame him.
Ooh, Kanye West. Very good. Very, very good.
So I think Jeff Goldblum, because in real life he's so eccentric and kind of really loves to do his own thing, it just made sense that he was a wizard. Very great choice for that, I would say. Lots of emotion in the actors' faces, I noticed. That really hit me. I could really kind of feel that when I was watching the film. Just to look at their facial expressions up close was really a beautiful thing. And Ariana Grande and Cynthia Revo are amazing actors. They really, you could tell they care about the roles. So that is one thing that also the movie provides that the theater play could never give us. We cannot see the actors' faces that close, and it's just not as natural being on the stage play, because you have to face the audience, project the audience, imagine. You have to really use your imagination more, whereas films allow you to just kind of see everything at the same time. So I will give the film credit. It really utilized movie magic, I guess, to make the world feel very whimsical and magical and very special. And kind of like when you watch The Wizard of Oz for the very first time, and it's just breathtaking. And I felt this the exact same way watching Wicked. You know what else too? Oh my god, I am gonna rave about the homage that it pays to the original 1939 Wizard of Oz. I just loved the intro title cards, how it had, you know, a 30s old Hollywood look and feel to it. The music, as I've learned, really, I think it's like fascinating. Like, how can you write music and be able to connect it also to like the original Wizard of Oz? You have to be like a genius up in the brain to be able to do that. And like, even though I complained about Furio's song, I could never write music about anything ever. Where they go unlimited, that is like the same note order as Summer Over the Rainbow. And in the beginning, where we see the little kids of Munchkinland and they're celebrating, they beat drums to the tune of the Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. I'm like, wow, guys, you thought of everything. That is so impressive and just really a lot of fun. I like things that are like very subtle like that, where like you really have to be a big fan of either the original film or Wicked the play, or both, to kind of catch on to that. I like things that are just not that obvious and that you probably wouldn't get unless somebody told you. I love that. I think that's just so much fun. Something I really enjoyed about this film and very much appreciated was how it kind of shows us how like dictatorships and how propaganda is born. That was very fascinating to me. So I know that the original book is supposed to be like more political. I did a little bit of research on that as well. But I enjoyed in the film how even just in the beginning sequence for No One Mourns the Wicked, and they had that propaganda poster of Elphaba being this evil, scary green witch, and they're all celebrating, and they're like, our children will like learn from this moment, and we never have to live in fear ever again. It very much like ties back to Nazi Germany, which I'm sure is purposeful. Also, when the original Wizard of Oz came out, it was right in the midst of Nazi Germany, before shit really started to hit the fan with the Holocaust. So I really appreciated that. I really just appreciated how it can show us how, with the wizard character specifically, he even says, when I came to Oz, things were in disarray. We need a common enemy to unite against so that there's peace among the people of Oz, and that we are productive, and, you know, we have something to kind of go for. And I do think in human nature that's just true. I think people, when we are able to unite against one common thing, it just makes us stronger and it makes us get along with each other more. There's like no civil unrest. So if you think about during times of war, like in World War I and World War II especially, we all came together because we all said, you know what? You may be a Democrat, I may be a Republican, him over there may not care about politics at all. He might be black, he might be white, but we can all come together to say we hate the Nazis. If aliens ever come down to Earth, like that's something that's gonna unite the world as a human race. So I almost think if the aliens come down to Earth one day, maybe we will be able to eliminate racism and sexism by uniting together to defeat the aliens. But I don't think that will happen, and I also don't want it to happen because the aliens would probably kill us like really easy. I really did appreciate that element of the film. That's something I didn't expect such a nuanced take about it, even though I know people complain that the theater play very much washes over the elements of like politics and social issues to kind of favor a story about female friendship, overcoming obstacles, and this kind of, you know, love triangle type thing. I have hope for the second part of the film, especially because he's gonna have to add in like a lot of extra details to make the runtime movie worthy, you know what I mean? So hopefully there will be a lot more nuance in the second part of the film, talking a lot more about politics. I know the second part of the film is going to take a little bit of a darker turn, so I am very interested to see where that goes. And that kind of brings me into the book, which I did some light research on, and those of you who know probably already know that the book is insane and very dark. So I've heard people complain that although the book attempts to talk more about politics and social issues, it's very much washed over by just being like kind of like a gross out, weird out book of people just doing crazy shit and being kind of just bad, grimy people. Very interesting to like get into the author's mind. I'm like, hey, what were you on about when you were writing about this guy having a dick in the front and in the back and having sex with a mother and daughter at the same time? What were you really on about with that? What does that have to do with the witches and anything? Witch piss is mentioned in the book, so I've heard, and that's why the animals can talk, because they drank water that was infected with witch piss. Alphaba in the story is a hermaphrodite. Random detail that I feel like low-key kind of offensive to people who are hermaphrodites. Just be like, what a little freak of nature. And she's green and has big sharp teeth and bites somebody's finger, and her parents are pieces of crap. And her mom, in the book, I'm not just saying this, the mom is just described as like being a slut for slut's sake. And her sister has no arms, which is kind of dark as well. So that's just like some very base level stuff. Also, yeah, anyway. So that's just some very base level stuff. It kind of leads back to the point that like the book perhaps will offer more inspiration for the second part, and because it's so much darker and has more to say about society and racism and, you know, authoritarianism especially. But I also just kind of, in my mind, something I thought about while watching the film was I really didn't expect it to kind of be like, wow, Oz is like Nazi Germany basically, huh? And not only in its use of propaganda, but in its use of like a common enemy, like I kind of said before. And that just kind of ties me back to like, you know, the Jews being to blame for everything is not a new concept at all. As I talked about in my Nosferatu video, it is something that has existed since forever and ever. I know that the 1939 film didn't touch on this, but it is interesting to kind of revisit the time when the film came out and relate it to what was actually happening in society at the same time. And, you know, my love of history and film really just kind of made me geek out over those details. And even just like the police and like the kind of like snitching and tattletaling really reminds me of that as well. So like Alphaba just trying to do the right thing, letting the animals free, trying to help out Dr. Dillamond and his colleagues and setting the lion free. You can imagine like somebody snitching on her and being like, oh, she's setting the Jews free, so time to get the Gestapo out against her. Gaz's, you know, royal guards are basically the Gestapo. Crazy detail. Messaging around the dangers of accepting, I guess I would say, a foreigner, somebody who's incredibly different, somebody who goes against the status quo, really just, you know, shows how we make villains as in a society out of people who are just trying to do the right thing. And, you know, relate that back to current events as you will. I also wanted to talk about the film's exploration of kind of like activism and performative activism. So Glinda is very much, you know, she kind of is a warning to the audience in the play and in the book and in the movie adaptation of the dangers of loving conformity and following the status quo to your detriment. So this can be explained in a couple different ways. Alphaba, when she first meets her, she's like, well, I for one just want to say I'm very sorry that you're green and for all of the difficulties that probably brought you in your life, rather than saying something like, oh, well, you're green, I'm going to accept you as you are because there's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. You're just green. You're not like diseased or anything. When Glinda, the whole Dr. Dillamond, Glinda being racist to Dr. Dillamond thing. So Dr. Dillamond can be, if we want to think of him as kind of like a person from a different culture, a different language. And Glinda's like, well, you can't say my name. So how about you learn to say my name right, goat bitch? Because he has to say Glinda instead of Galinda. And in Galinda's kind of act to win approval from everybody and have everybody think she's so good, she says, you know what, I'm dropping the "guff" for my name and I'm just going by Glinda from now on, in respect to our dear friend Dr. Dillamond. And though Glinda takes that step to get, praise from her peers, she doesn't do anything to actually activate for animals. Activate. What am I trying to say? Advocate. She doesn't do anything to advocate for animals in the meantime. Very much reminiscent of that time in 2020 when everybody posted the black square instead of actually donating money or voting for people that would help for police brutality causes, and looking inward to change parts of ourselves, looking back at society and saying, you know what, I think we should try to fix this and we should try to educate ourselves more. They're just like, RIP, black square, praying for you guys. From the research I've done, Glinda loves working for the man, and as soon as she's offered the job opportunity to go work for the wizard, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Even though I learned that you're a fraud and that you're a bad person, gonna do it anyway, because she just loves the appearance of being such a perfect good person. Very much you can also look at it through the lens of Glinda loves following society's rules. She loves, just based on her womanliness, she loves dressing womanly and girly. She loves material items which are very stereotypically female. She dresses in pink. She loves pink in fashion, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just very stereotypical, expected of her, I guess I would say. She follows Jonathan Bailey's lead throughout the whole film. She lets him decide, and she loves following in his lead and doing things to impress him that she thinks he would like. She loves being the perfect person for him, and she thinks because she's beautiful and feminine and he's macho and masculine and handsome that of course they'll be perfect together. All right, so I feel like to tie everything together, to me, it just makes sense to tie everything back to the original 1939 film as well. I think changed culture. I say that a lot about films, but I think it's one of the films that really just changed America and probably society and culture as a whole. I think it's very interesting that there is discourse around, I guess amongst fans that kind of see Elphaba and Glinda as perhaps bi-curious, perhaps gay, perhaps in love, perhaps lovers. That's just kind of like a big fan thing. There's fan art about it too, as kind of like with all musicals, they love casting other cast members as like being in love with each other. In the book, it is a little bit more on the nose that they are interested in each other, at least bisexual, getting it on and things like that. So I think that's interesting. And then also just going back to the original film, The Wizard of Oz of 1939, The Wizard of Oz has long been a part of LGBT history and LGBT culture, I guess. And I'm not just pulling that out of my ass. I know because RuPaul said it on RuPaul's Drag Race, so it has to be right. But also, in my queer film class, the very first film that we watched was The Wizard of Oz. And my professor's like, you might think it's silly and doesn't make any sense, but watch it and just think about it as being a queer film and draw meaning into it, and then you'll get what I'm saying. It is interesting to just look at films through different lenses. Like, why does it mean this to this person? And then it just kind of makes sense. I also think there is kind of like no wrong way to read a film. You get to draw meanings out of it where you kind of see fit, I guess. So if it means something to you because of this, then it means something to you because of it. You're not just making stuff up. Like, people can definitely read it in certain ways. 1939, Wicked Witch of the West, just starting off, you can kind of see her as being like a portrayal of an evil, wicked lesbian. So she's definitely not feminine at all. She definitely has a powerful, uncomfortable presence. She definitely is has has an obsession, I guess, with Dorothy. She's obsessed with Dorothy because she killed her sister and she's mad at her. But also she's, she says, "Oh, I'll get you, my pretty." And she kidnaps Dorothy and holds her hostage. And, as she remarks at Dorothy's beauty and youth. So a person could read that as this kind of, not feminine ideal at all, like the very antithesis to being feminine and beautiful, threatens the youth and beauty and vitality of the young, sweet Judy Garland. By contrast, Glinda of the North is the good witch, and she's very feminine. She wears pink and sparkles. She's a princess. She's beautiful. And frankly, she's white and blonde. And they ate that up back in the 30s and 40s. So that is one reading of it as well. And also, fun fact, Billy Burke, who plays the original Glinda, is gay. She's likely probably gay, as a lot of, actors in Hollywood back in the olden days. They were kind of gay publicly to their actor friends and in Hollywood, but to the public, they were straight. Cowardly Lion obviously can be read as kind of an effeminate gay man. He at one point even calls himself a dandelion, and he calls himself a sissy because he's just a little sensitive guy. He's sensitive, he's sweet, he is definitely not macho and doesn't seem to really care about those masculine ideals. However, he does want to fit into society by being more brave. That's kind of like his quest. He doesn't want to stick out to others. So you can definitely read that as, gay people, especially during the time, you definitely don't want to stand out because you don't want people to kill you. Also, when he goes to Emerald City, he gets a little bow in his fur and he loves being pampered, and he just has such a good time being able to express himself in a non-traditionally masculine way, I guess I'll say. And it also has that found family aspect. So Dorothy arrives in a land where she's all by herself. She's very scared, and then she meets very loving, kind people along the way who care about her. Even though they're not her family, they care about her and they want the best for her and they protect her. No sense of sexuality or romance or malice behind the relationship that she has with three grown men. They just love and care about her and want to help her out. And also, it's important to note that Dorothy loves and accepts the people who have been rejected by the society of Oz. They're kind of just misfits running around all by themselves because they don't fit in with what society thinks they're supposed to be. So a scarecrow is supposed to be just a lump of hay that does nothing, but he wants to have a brain. He goes against what a scarecrow should be. The lion is supposed to be ferocious and scary, but he's cowardly and sweet. The Tin Man wants to have love and wants to be able to express himself, and that's not something that men are traditionally allowed to do either. So that's something. Also, the idea of just an escape where you get to hang out with your homies, where you don't have to worry about society's problems. That's kind of like Oz. And if you think about it too, Oz is an escape from the Great Depression. Dorothy lives in a cornfield in the middle of Kansas, right? And if you think about during the Great Depression, obviously the Dust Belt was hit extremely hard. People were extremely impoverished in that region of America, which is where Dorothy would have been from. She's escaping her drab, impoverished Great Depression life to go to a beautiful land of Oz where she does not have to worry about money, tending the fields, taking care of her family. She just gets to try to figure out how to go back home. So when you think about when the film came out, right at the tail end of the Great Depression, right before America enters World War II, Oz is an escape from society's problems, where our biggest worry is, how do I get back home to my family? And, centering family as the most important thing, where you come from, having pride in where you come from, and loving the people that you come from, no matter how modest or meager or how difficult your life may be, that home is always the best place. There's no place like home. And so that's the best place where you belong. Tie that back into Wicked, as you will. It having queer undertones that people can read into the film. That's perfectly a fair thing to do. Also, the idea that above all, friendship and love is the most important thing. And, if you think about it, they ignore the political themes in Wicked, the musical, and the movie as kind of World War II and the political themes of the time were the backdrop to The Wizard of Oz. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me. That is my very long-winded review of Wicked. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope this all makes sense when I put it together. Thank you very much for following me and subscribing to me and watching my videos and commenting on my videos. I'm really excited to see like what happens next and what you guys think about this. When you guys mention things to me, I'm like, man, you guys are so smart and you know a lot about things that I did not think about. So I'm excited to see what you guys think about this. And as always, I think I forgot to put in my last video on TikTok. I am Unemployed Movie Critic. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Letterboxd. I'm back on Letterboxd, baby. I am Boo Bear. No, I'm Boo Bear on Letterboxd. So you can see some of my reviews of recent films on there. Sometimes I like don't really go that into depth on my Letterboxd, but I just thought it would be fun because I kind of miss posting on there. So I'm on Letterboxd. Don't look for me on Instagram. I don't want you guys to find out where I work ever. So thank you for joining me though. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for the support and I'll see you next time.